Hello and welcome everyone, I am C.S.Gilmore and this is Tales from the Gilded Gob. For our opening episode, how about today we talk about power-hungry warlocks? So, warlocks are an interesting class. They have some different features compared to most of the other classes, primarily in that they can recover their spell slots on a short rest compared to a long rest. The downside being they only get like two spell slots, that is. They get a much narrower selection, but they get the ease of recharging them quickly without as much hassle. Generally being a long rest being at least 8 hours compared to a short rest, which is, I would say, about half that time. Depends on how you want to run it as a DM, or how your DM feels like that would go. Could be 2 hours, whatever works for your group. But basically, a quick breather. Now, roleplay wise, perhaps one of the more fun ones for a warlock would be the power hungry warlock. These are warlocks who knew what they were getting into when they signed the contract with their patron. Warlocks are not quite like wizards. They don't study to get their knowledge, though they don't. That doesn't mean they aren't studious themselves and haven't read a lot. It's more, though, that their powers did not come from the arcane weaves of the world and their own knowledge on how to manipulate it. Their power comes from some greater being that has entered into a contract with them to grant them power. Generally speaking, think about why you're going to have a contract. What is the warlock getting out of it? And what is the being they are contracting getting out of it? For a power-hungry warlock, that may not matter so much. They may be out there purely for power. What's your goal? Who knows? Maybe you want to take over the world. Maybe you want to avenge your family. Maybe you want to just have power to be able to choose your own way in life and not have others guide you and rule over you. Maybe you want to eventually replace your patron, become a patron yourself. Whatever the case, the power-hungry warlock may not be so discerning as to the details of the contract. Perhaps they are willing to sacrifice others, innocents, or just, the random, whatever they may just get a random encounter to do something, a random quest from their patron to go get me that. Go do this. One of the tricks with warlocks is you have to work with your DM, probably a little more closely than other classes, because generally speaking, your DM is going to be the one running your patron and impersonating your patron, as it were, embodying your patron. Actually, is probably a better way to put it. Your DM is the one who's going to be fulfilling that end of the contract. So talk to your DM ahead of time, work out what works for them and in their world setting, what works for you and what you're thinking for a character, and how is that going to play out. If your DM is one of those ones that allows some inter-party issues, or inter-party killing even, like, this sort of warlock could be a great sleeper agent for the DM. Because who's to say? Your warlock may be contracted to the big bad evil guy. The BBEG himself may be your patron. And, well, you've been sent out to, say, gather a relic for him. Or perhaps he wants you to keep an eye on the party, because he's received a prophecy that this party is going to be a thorn in his side. So you're going to go there. You're the only one that he had on hand that could blend in with them. As, you're just another adventurer being called to serve the civilization or whatever reason your party has to be there. And you're the one who's gained the job of keep an eye on the party. And if they start showing signs of being problematic, report back. And maybe he'll have something for you. That wizard has been studying the arcane sigils, which may be tied to sealing away your patron back beyond the veil. Something that he has worked long and hard to break loose from. Would be a shame if he were to suffer an accident during the next expedition. A little trip off a cliffside, a little stab in the back. Though that kind of role would actually lead to a lot of potentially good role play, especially if you're working with the other party members to an extent. Like, if you have a party member who's like, oh, man, I'm not feeling this character. I want to change. Talks to the DM. DM's like, yeah, we can bring in a new character for you, or we could do with your old one. I'll get rid of them. Okay, how do we want to make this work? Like, that could be a great interplayer opportunity to work together openly and be like, okay, how do I fulfill my role, but also how do we make this work for the party? Because you want everyone to have a good time. That's one of those hard things to do, is have a party member that's against the party or that isn't always going to mesh with the party's goals, but not break the fun for everyone involved. Maybe you're playing a super serious campaign and you don't mind stepping on some toes. But generally speaking, you shouldn't take each other off in real life. Work together, tell a story, have fun with it. So, and also think of it from your Warlocks perspective. Okay, your patron just said, man, you gotta go off the wizard. How are you going to do that without revealing yourself? How are you going to do that without being kicked out of the party? You have to make it look like an accident. And what if you fail? What then? You might have to be ready to do some side missions with the DM, work things out, try to work a way back into the party. You may have to play the redemption arc of, well, yes, I was trying to kill the wizard. I failed, obviously. And now the big bad evil guy has kicked me out. What's a warlock without a patron, though? Do you need to go find a new one then? And if you do, who? And are you going to turn against your old patron for betraying you? For kicking you out after you tried so hard to serve them? Sure, you failed, but you were working on that. You were trying to serve them. Or maybe, it's like, well, this jumped up my plans. I was planning to betray the big bad evil guy anyway, because once again, I want my patron's power. I was planning to betray them at the last second. That can be also a great way to do it too. You get to the end of the campaign, you fight the big bad evil guy, you strike them down. Meanwhile, your character is worked out with the DM. Guess who's going to be the big bad evil guy of the next campaign? And how are you going to do that? Perhaps you're doing a little side hustle on the striking the big bad evil guy down. The parties find it strange that the wards don't seem to be as strong in this area. You were able to break into the big bad evil guy's lair, almost as if an insider had set up the play. Just because you're playing an evil character or a power-hungry character doesn't mean you have to be mean to the party. And that's something I'll get into in a couple other videos, especially my evil cleric discussion, because I have played an evil cleric before, and I got along great with the paladin in the party, of all things. And I'll get into that another time. That's a whole different story. Of course, you're a power-hungry warlock. You may even jump through multiple patrons, if you think about it. Maybe you try to double team. What happens if a warlock signs multiple pacts? It could be a tough one on your DM. Talk with them about it first. Because then your DM's gotta have to play multiple patrons potentially and work out, okay, if you are side hustling your original patron with this other patron, do they know about each other? How are they going to feel about that? Are you about to get yourself in some really royal trouble because patron 1 finds out about patron 2 and is like, did I give you permission to do that? I don't think I did. Contract clause right here says you're fired. And by fired, I mean you're on fire. Have fun burning. Or, but then maybe patron 2's like, well, they've been doing pretty good by what I told them to do, so maybe I'll bail them out. Character development potentials all over the place. And of course, then there's the whole thing of if the DM running both patrons comes up with a situation where one patron wants one thing, but one patron wants the opposite, or both patrons want the same thing, but it's something that they can't share. Both patrons want the MacGuffin that so and so has over there, and you better go get it. Now you've got to decide, which patron are you going to give it to? Are you going to keep it for yourself and try to ransom it off? Which one of you is going to offer me a better deal? That could be a great way to level up your character. You'll probably lose a patron in the process and get in some major trouble, potentially cursed. But, once again, if you're in this game for role playing purposes, for having fun, developing a character with the party, this could be one of those moments where the DM gives your character a moment to shine, a moment to grow, to develop why they have a backstory. And yeah, power hungry warlocks have so many options you can branch off with. I probably haven't even touched a quarter of what you could do as a power hungry warlock. I guess something else I should touch on here. I mentioned, sacrificing for what you want. Are you going to be sacrificing something of your own, something of the party's? Maybe you're going to go sacrifice the city. That whole, well, the party just found out you were secretly the henchman of one of the big bad evil guys, or maybe you weren't even tied to the big bad evil guy. Maybe you were doing your own thing over here. Yes, you guys all work together doing the city. A portal to hell just opened up in the sewers, and several people and this entire district was dragged down into hell. Your patron may have asked you to do that. Can you avoid getting caught, though? Can you put the blame on the big bad evil guy? There's all sorts of things. There are so many ways you can play this. Alright, so those are some of my thoughts on playing a power-hungry warlock. Thoughts in the comments below. What do you think? Have you played a warlock like this? Have you played them in a different way? What have you found that works well for you and your party? How has your DM worked with you on these things? Has your DM said, no, I draw a line here? Or has your DM been like, yeah, okay, yeah, we can do this? Have you kept it a secret from the rest of your party? And how did they handle that? Because sometimes, depending on your group, like I said, you could end up hurting feelings, and that generally leads to people not being happy with the game. Or maybe your party's one of those parties that's like, oh snap, you betrayed us? Sick, man. We're gonna kill you. But sick, I did not see that coming. Something like that. You can do, depending on your party, depending on your DM, depending on you and how you all play this out, you can go in so many directions. And that's just one small aspect. I think I'm going to talk about a different type of warlock next time. And then we'll get into some of the other classes in future episodes after that. But for now, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe to keep up with the releases if you haven't done so already. Have fun gaming. Respect each other. No fighting in the comments below. Please. Don't have to break any of that up. But I hope you have fun with it.